Hey guys, ECRG here. Today we're going to be talking about what it's like running trials in Japan. Hey guys, ECRG here. Today we're going to be talking about running clinical trials in Japan. Now, I am no expert at running clinical trials in Japan, but I did learn a few things at that kickoff meeting that I went to not too long ago about some of the key differences in running clinical trials in Japan versus even Europe and certainly the United States of America. And we're going to go over a few of them today. Now, I'm not an expert, but just for a quick overview in this video of some key differences that you might encounter if you're looking at running a clinical trial in Japan, or if one of your studies has a Japan component, some things you may not have known about running clinical trials there. So one of the things that I learned that's very key about running clinical trials in Japan is the regulatory authority. Now, in the USA, you have the FDA, the Drug Administration, the Federal Drug Administration. And they are in charge of approving everything that goes to the market, whether it's a pill, a tablet, any kind of medical device or anything that's going to go inside your body. They've got to approve it. So the Japanese have a similar organization, and theirs is called PMDA for short. And so they have different requirements. Obviously, they have different cultural requirements. It's just completely different. But it is a government agency that you must get authority to in order to run the clinical trial. And just similar to how the FDA works, the PMDA works in that same regard. And they are there to ensure the safety of whatever you're bringing to the market. So just off the bat there, there's going to be a key difference because you're working at two different governments, two different parts of the world. So there are going to be some key differences there working in Japan. So the key one that there you have to know is the PMDA. And they have different regulations, but all that stuff can be found online for more information about that. So different regulations is one. The second thing you have to keep in mind when running a clinical trial in Japan is the different cultural boundaries that are in place going to a different country. So obviously there's even different cultures in the United States, from the north to the south. The south tend to be a little bit warmer, tend to be a little bit slower at things. There's just a different culture moving around the country, whether it's the southeast, whether it's the west coast, whether it's the northeast. There's different cultures and different way things are done. So obviously, going to a whole different country, there's going to be different cultures as well. So, the culture is just different. So one of the things you have to keep in mind is that that's going to play a major role in how your clinical trial is run. For example, the Japanese prefer more face-to-face communication. So, that's a key thing you have to consider. They really want to meet face to face. They don't really want to talk on the phone too much or do WebEx. They haven't fully embraced that as much. They prefer more face to face communication. For example, just to initiate a site, they require 5 to 7 monitoring visits, and that's just how they like to do it. Whereas in the USA, you can do that in 1 to 2, or even Europe, you can do it in 1 to 2. So just something to keep in mind when running a clinical trial in Japan. And they tend to be a little bit more formal in their communication as well. So you have to keep that in mind, that there's going to be communication differences between Japan and the rest of the world. And, if you know this going in, then you're going to know more what to expect when running your clinical trial there. So those are two key differences. And the third key difference to running a clinical trial in Japan is, because there's so many differences between Japan and the rest of the world, Japan is really going to require its own team to operate, or a team very experienced in dealing with Japan. So usually at the CRO level, at least, there's a US team, then there's a Europe team, but now there's going to be a Japan team if you're going to be operating in Japan, just because there's so much red tape to go through. There's just so much different so many differences going on, you're really going to need somebody who's well versed in how to deal with Japan and running clinical trials there in order to operate in Japan. So those are 3 things to keep in mind. Just 3 quick things that I noticed, overarching concepts there with running clinical trials in Japan. I thought the overall process was very interesting, and it's so important, the key differences there, that we had our own separate meeting dealing with Japan alone. We don't do that with other countries. The EU and all the countries that you operate there is treated pretty much as the same, even though there's going to be different countries. But Japan is treated as one, and they have their own set of rules and regulations there. And it's very important to keep in mind that there are going to be differences between Japan and the rest of the world and the USA. There's some similarities, but there are going to be differences as well. So just wanted to share with you guys a little bit that I learned. I will be helping run a clinical trial in Japan in the future, so maybe more things to come about Japan in the future. If not, that should be a good start to just understand at the basic level that there are key differences between Japan and the rest of the world. So if you like this video, please like it, share with all your friends, share it with anybody that you think may benefit from it. Comment down below any more videos you would like to see on this channel. Love getting feedback from you guys. As always, email us at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. And stay tuned for another video soon. Bye.